Well, hello, my name is Bob Brozman, and welcome to this videotape. I'm going to be covering a lot of aspects of rhythm for guitar players, all the aspects that you could use for various types of music. My personal belief is that we could all stand to have a better sense of rhythm, so I want to show you some things to help smooth that pathway between your brain and your muscles. Sometimes we'll use your brain to teach your muscles, and sometimes we'll use your muscles to teach your brain. So I'd like to start off actually without a guitar in hand and just show you some basic rhythms with clapping and hand and foot tapping that I think every guitar player should have in their bag of tricks. So we'll start out with a real basic kind of a thing here. One of the most important things that I think Western music and non-Western music have in common is the harmony, where the rhythm starts to diverge quite a bit. So for any kind of blues, jazz, ragtime, Caribbean, Hawaiian, African, Cuban, Mexican, you need to be thinking of a little bit different kind of rhythm. With a guitar, we only have two directions. We have up and down. So what I'd like to do now is show you a pattern with your hands that generates triplets out of two directions or two objects. In this case, the two objects will be your hands. So using your hands on your knees, what I'm going to ask you to do is a series of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 triplets, but alternating hands. So the only way you can accomplish that is with accenting. If you don't accent, all you have is this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. But as soon as we accent, you're going to get a feeling of 1, 2, 3. Always alternating, never pop, pa. So it's going to be like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So in this way, you see the rhythm is changing sides. The accent is changing sides. So I've got a left accent, right accent. And you can speed it up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So on your own, whenever you're walking down the street or anything, some part of you should always be playing some rhythm, and I'll talk more about how to develop that in a while. Now, this triplet figure is pretty easy when you've got two equal sounds and you can accent one. But let's see, I'm going to take my guitar here and use it to make a different sound. Now, if I do the same exact pattern on two different sounds, it's quite a bit harder to maintain that feeling of accenting. It's going to sound more like 1, 2 unless I really accent. So first I'll just do it with a light accent. So that definitely sounds like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So let's accent a little harder now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I always use two different surfaces to prove whether or not I've got the feeling in my head. Take the accenting away and you've got this again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Now, on the guitar, that can translate from left and right to up and down. One of my favorite ways to learn rhythm on the guitar is by blocking off the strings and not allowing them to ring, so that it takes away harmonic content and just leaves you with the concept of rhythm. So with up and down, instead of left and right, you're still going to have alternating accents, only sometimes it's going to be a down accent, sometimes it's going to be an up accent. So that's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So try this with your guitar. Now I happen to be using finger picks, but everything I've told you so far, it could be done with a flat pick or with finger picks. I'm basically, in this up-down movement, I'm using my thumb and my index finger like two sides of a flat pick. I could be doing it just with a flat pick, but my habit is to use finger picks. And develop this so you can really get some speed up. And then, once you've got the speed up, you can use that triplet any place in the measure. So let's do a little exercise where we're going to go 1 and a 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2, 3, 4, and we'll do 4 of those. Then we'll go 1, 2 and a 3, 4, and then we'll go 1, 2, 3 and a 4. The idea of this exercise is to give you the control to be able to put that triplet figure anywhere in the measure. So if you're playing, we'll start with 1 and a 2, 3, 4. So that's 1, 2, ready, start. 1 and a 2, 3, 4. 1 and a 2, See how 2 is up? 1 and a 2, 3, 4. 1 and a 2. Let's put it on 2 now. 1, 2 and a 3, 4. 1, 2 and a 3, 4. 1, 2 and a 3, 4. Let's put it on 3. 2, 3 and a 4. 1, 2, 3 and a 4. 1, 2, 3 and a 4. And let's move it to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a 1, 2, 3, 4 and a 1. Now, if you're going to keep that thing going with the correct accenting, you're going to wind up with some upstrokes. And so you see I went 1 and a 2, 3, 4. Let me show you an example of how you would use something like that. If you were playing swing rhythm, like Django Reinhardt music, they will often use those triplets as an accent. So in just playing a simple rhythm part, now to form this chord, you might want to play this. A G6 is just like a G major, just has a little more color. So basically got my finger set up like this, with my middle finger on the 6th string, 3rd fret. Index is 4th string, 2nd fret. Pinky is on the 3rd string, 4th fret, and the ring finger is on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. And what's unusual about this chord is the pinky is closer to my face than the lower finger. So it's a little awkward. And if you're having trouble making this chord, I'll give you a quick tip about how to learn chords in a very fast way. When you play guitar, when you play music, the music does not allow you time to put your fingers down one at a time. And you know when you've been playing for too long and your fingertips hurt? Well, you want that ouch on the end of your fingertips to happen all at the same time. So what I do is I clamp down on this chord, and you may have noticed in your own playing that if you relax a little bit, the notes stopped. So I just expand on that idea, and I stop the notes in a rhythm, and then I gradually increase the distance of my hand away from the chord, but try to maintain the shape. If the shape falls apart, you're too far away, until eventually you can slam that down. And if you watch my hand, when it's all the way out here, in my mind I've decided what chord I'm going to play, and I've already sent the picture of the chord down to my hand, and it's already starting to form when I'm 3-4 inches away. It's on the way to the neck, and there. So once again, let's just play a swing rhythm using this G6 chord. So it's going to be 1. Now swing is always accented on 2 and 4. That's definitely what makes it swing. And the trick to not rushing in your music is to let 2 and 4 be as late as they possibly can while still being legal. So it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's put in those triplets now. Let's put them in on after beat 1. 1 and a 2, 3, 4. 1 and a 2, 3. Now on 2. 1, 2 and a 3, 4. 1, 2 and a 3, 4. On 3. 1, 2, 3 and a 4. 1, 2, 3 and a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a 1, 2, 3, 4 and a 1. Now, quite often the rhythm section in a swing band will use those figures at the end of the melody, just like where a drummer would put in a fill. So you might play something like Now you notice when I do my basic stroke, you probably can see my left hand flexing and relaxing, and I do that on purpose to clean up the sound. I think the difference between the professionals and the amateurs are the professionals are the ones who can control how the note ends. Anybody can start a note, but getting a hold of ending it takes a little time and practice. So I actually flex every note, so I'm getting a clean. Otherwise, if I don't flex, I'm going to get something like this, which is no good. I want. And you see on my right hand, I'm moving a little bit to get the brighter part of the string to further accent the 2 and the 4. So I'm making it smooth and bright. So we'll come back to the guitar. I'm going to continue with a few more hand pats now. Now, the real secret of African music is what they call polyrhythm, and that means having 2 different rhythms going on at once. The simplest polyrhythm is 2 against 3, and this will be the last time I tell you any numbers, but I just want you to understand the math, and then as soon as you hear the sound, you can forget about the math. the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3 is 6. So if you imagine the hand that's playing 2 beats is playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The hand that's playing 3 beats is playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all at the same time. So the net effect is 2 is silent and 6 is silent. So what you're going to, and 1 is the only time that you play together. So what you're going to get is this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Now let's speed it up. You hear this pattern? Dum da da dum, dum da da dum, dum da da dum. Now speed it up. Now once you hear that pattern, you can forget about the numbers for the rest of your life. Now to illustrate it, let me do it on 2 different surfaces, and then I'll switch hands. I'll play the same pattern, but I'll switch hands so that the louder one is going to first be one rhythm and then be the other. So here we go. So first, the loud one you're going to hear is playing 2 beats against the soft one playing 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, dum da da dum. You can really start to feel the African swing in this, or in any kind of a blues, shuffle, or jazz. A jazz waltz has this feel too. Mexican music definitely has this feel in the waltz. Now, let's try another experiment. Presumably you're watching this at home and nobody is watching you, so you don't have to be embarrassed. Let's clap and say the other one, okay? So we're going to clap 3 and say the 2. It's going to go sound like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Da 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 da. Okay, so it's really good to try and divide your brain and your body up into a couple of halves. When I was a kid, walking to school 10 miles in the snow, uphill in both directions, I used to amuse myself by syncopating off my footsteps. I mean, we were given these feet to walk with, and it's a wonderful tool for developing your rhythm when you're not playing the guitar. So I'd be walking along, and I would syncopate with scat singing, just silent scat singing, and try to make up as many combinations as I could. Dun da dee dun da dee da da dum diddly da da ka digga da dum dum ba dum dum dee da dum da dee dum da diddly da da dum dee da 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 dee dum da dee da da dum diddly da ka da digga da dum da ka digga da ka digga da ding da da dum. And doing that will do more for your creative developing of solos and rhythm style than any number of hours of actually practicing the guitar. Let's continue with 2 against 3. And this time, let's use your feet. And it's good to have a hard surface to tap on so you can hear your foot. And let's see, I'm going to tap 3 with my feet and 2 with my hands. So first, always, with all of these, remember the pattern, either with your mouth or in your mind, before you start it with your hands. So the pattern is da 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 da. And from there, you can begin to divide and multiply. For example, let's do it a little slower. Da 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 da. Now I'm going to double my hands. So you got to try that slowly at home. Let's break it down a little further. Let's have you just tap your foot and say the doubled hand part. So first, da. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Da 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 da. Now you can make illusion of even more distance with accenting. Now I'm going to do the doubled hand, but I'm going to accent it like a shuffle, like in blues. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Da 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 da. So many of those kind of things can be applied to the guitar. Let's just set up a little figure and try and play that. Yeah, let's do it with blanks, okay? So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Even though I'm alternating, I'm thinking 3 with there, and da 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 da. Let's slow it way down and break it down. So these are some very simple ideas that you can begin to apply to chords that you already know. Let's try some more experiments with a feeling of 3. If you're playing a shuffle in blues, if you're playing the simple, you're actually playing triplets. You're actually playing this beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that rolling shuffle. So it's fun to skeletalize these rhythms and take out parts of them. So 1, 2, we'll just do little after beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, the trickiest part is to imagine a triplet between your foot and your hand while it's playing the guitar. And remember when we did the triplet on 2 different sounds, it was really hard to maintain the accenting. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So that part I'm tapping with my fingers is what I'm going to play. Now I'm going to play a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. So let's find another way to get to it. If you go back to the strumming and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and let's start leaving stuff out. So now all I'm going to do is put in the ups. I'm still going to move my hand down through the air, but 1, 2, 3, and a 4. It's hard to count and do this all at the same time, but. So it's very nice if the song is going along and there's a lot of busyness in it and it's going. Now, the next level of polyrhythm is a little harder, and I think I'd like to show you this, not necessarily to play on the guitar, but just to develop your rhythmic coordination. I'll give you a verbal mnemonic device to remember how this pattern goes. And the pattern goes, play the doggone rhythm. Now, the only time your hands occur at the same time is on the first word, play. And that's going to sound like this. Play the doggone rhythm. Play the doggone rhythm. Play the doggone rhythm. Try that. Seems pretty easy, right? It seems pretty easy when you have equal sounds. As soon as you have unequal sounds, suddenly the whole world turns over and you think you're listening to something that's going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So let's put the 4 on a louder surface. And then suddenly the thing is going to shift. So let's see if I can coordinate all this. So first on equal surfaces. Let's put the 4 on louder, okay? Suddenly it sounds like going 1, 2, 3, 4. It's actually 1.33 times faster. So to get it in your whole body, Let's do it again. Just first, let's just tap your feet on the 3. So you're going to tap like this. And then say the thing, play the doggone rhythm. Dun, 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 dun. Now this is very hard to do at first. The tendency is you're going to want to play the whole pattern with your hands and play. But you're trying to just play the 4. So let's break it down a little further. You might even want to write this down and underline the words and syllables for each hand. So the hand that's playing 3 is going, play the doggone rhythm. So it's saying play, dog, ri. Okay? And the other is going, play the doggone rhythm. Okay? So it's got the second half of doggone and the second half of rhythm. So actually what you're doing with your hands is play the doggone rhythm, play the doggone rhythm, play the doggone rhythm, play the doggone rhythm. I guarantee that if you spend a little time doing this, you will always walk with a little more funk than you did before. In fact, as a walking exercise, I would have you alternate your feet, say the pattern, dun 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 dun. If you ever see African dancers, their dance steps are based on this. And that will take some time. That might take a week or 2 of doing it a little bit every day. But that sort of thing will really, really loosen you up. Now I'd like to show you a few little patterns of self-accompaniment where you can kind of get your own bass and percussion line going against a vocal. I'm being G tuning for this, so to get in tune, I've dropped my high and low E strings to D. Here's a high, it's D. And then a normal B. A normal G. A normal D. And the A string tuned down to G, and the low E tuned down to D. So the whole tuning sounds like this. And for purposes of this little thing, I'm just going to play octaves in my bass here. I just want a 1 chord sound here, just G. So I've basically got my fingers at the 5th fret on the 6th and 4th strings to get this 4 G notes. And this is just sort of a contemporary type of urban beat that I'm going to show you with a very simple bass line. So I think first thing let's do is let's tap our feet and just say the bass line, which is like this. Da-da, 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 da-da. Play it. 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and. So let me break this down. I'm actually doing quite a bit of activity in there. Some of it is silent. I'm damping, which gives me a little click. And basically I'm going now, I'm going da-da, 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 da-da. See where the snare is? Da-da, da-da. So to put that together, it's da-da, damp. So the stroke is actually down, up, damp, tap. So you can hear you can see my damp stroke when I flatten my hand and do that. And sometimes I hammer on those notes if I'm feeling lazy, or better yet, if I want to get another little snare fill up here, and I'm tapping on my pick guard. If you've got a guitar without a pick guard, I recommend that you either tap on the fingerboard, or basically that's your only choice. I'm tapping quite lightly so as not to break my guitar, but basically sometimes I'm going. It's good to develop strength in your left hand and practice that hammer-on for a few times like this. If you can get that nice and strong, then you save yourself the effort of having to stroke it, and you get. So now, to put that together, I'm going to go. So the hands are really working together. I'm doing a lot of this kind of action. Now I'm going to put in a little pickup to it. I'm going to go da-da, da-da, and I'm going to put in that little double knock there. Now I'm going to make the double knock a little triplet, where I'm going to go. As I fold my arm, mama, and I, Lord, I slowly walk away. Yes, that's all right, pretty mama. Lord, your trouble comes someday. So you see, it makes a nice accompaniment style. And sometimes what I'll do in a lot of hip-hop and contemporary urban stuff, there are engineers in post-production taking tracks out selectively in what they call dubbing out, in order to just give a more psychedelic thing. So sometimes I like to reproduce that acoustically by putting in a fake reverb. What I do is I'll make a seriously dissonant note right here on the 12th and 14th frets. And then I'll pretend I'm doing a repeating reverb, but I never lose the groove, so I'll go. The trick is to stay relaxed with it. Sometimes I'll do a long dub out like this. So that is wide open territory for your experimentation. Now, I do another form of tapping, which actually is a little more like slap bass, where I'll hit the fingerboard and hit the strings that I'm playing. So just a simple slap bass would be like... So I'm hammering. I'm getting my first beat by hammering on. And I'm just going da, 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 da. You could even make a triplet there. Now sometimes using two finger picks, I'll make a triplet in there. So my triplet figure again is just like doing this, except I'm using two fingers. So I'm going to do it. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da is the way it's going. It's a little hard to slow that one down because you lose the energy and the momentum, but... Okay, let's move over to another area of rhythm. Sometimes, something I learned from my friend Led Kaapana is a kind of damping style where you can use the heel of your hand in a very creative way to turn up and down the damping technique at the bridge. So open, it sounds like this. Then I can shut it down. It's almost like having a volume pedal. So, let's take a waltz, for example. Now, a lot of people think a waltz is pretty corny, but with adding polyrhythm, you can make a waltz sound pretty hip. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And here are the steps to thinking in a polyrhythmic waltz. The first step is just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The next step of thinking about it is 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now let's turn those ands into numbers, so then you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you can change the accenting. So I'm going to take it again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here my foot is still 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and da 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 da. Then you can start taking it away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1. So let's just take a little simple figure, like a blues figure. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. In fact, you can do all this with one hand. One, two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Now, I'm just improvising there, and that's what I really encourage you to do. I don't want to teach you a particular song by memory and have you walk away with just the one song. I want you to apply these ideas to your own playing. So I'm just going to stretch that one out a little bit, okay? And all I'm using, just to keep it simple, I'll only use pretty much 2 string pairs on the first 2 strings. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Da-da-da-da-dum, dum-da-da-da-dum, ding-da-dee-da-dum, ding-da-dee-da-dum. On your own, you should experiment with that. I mean, blues are not typically done in a waltz, but if you slow a blues down enough and you hear da 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 da, so that's either 2 bars of a very slow 4 with a triplet feel, or it's 8 bars of a waltz. 1, 2, 3. Okay. One of my favorite rhythms is, I guess it's a Caribbean New Orleans rhythm. I call it the false waltz, but it basically is a real swinging rhythm for things that are swinging along in 4. And the way this rhythm goes is we take 8 beats and we try and cram a waltz into it, but it doesn't work. You're going to miss 1 beat because it takes 9 to divide by 3. So the pattern goes like this: 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1. You've probably heard a lot of that kind of music, like "Save the Last Dance for Me," or that kind of New Orleans beat to blues and Zydeco music. Anyway, you can apply that to your whole thinking, or you can break it up with your fingers, have it be like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2. And some of the old blues guys were quite good at this. Blind Blake, the ragtime player, used this a lot, and Lonnie Johnson. So let's just set up a little bit of a simple swinging blues in E, and I'll show you a couple of places where it's really handy to use that. First, let's get the rhythm in the right hand. So tap your foot and say the following pattern: 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. Now I get the big beats in there. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. Now let's slow it down and put in the fingers. So now I'm going to go thumb finger finger thumb finger finger thumb finger. That's harder to say than it is to play. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3. Now, a lot of the ragtime and swing players would take that same time and not play it straight like I did, but actually swing it. So instead of going 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3, they would be more like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 da 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 da. Which, in fact, if you listen to any good hip hop or funk record and you listen to what the hi-hat player is playing, the kick drum is going doom doom doom. 1 2 3 1 2 3, and the hi-hat is on top going. So it's that same kind of feel. Now, let's just play a simple blues in E. And when we're heading towards the B7 chord, I'm going to show you a nice Eddie Lang, Lonnie Johnson little chord pattern that's very simple. It's a big triangle, and it's a way to transition from E to B7. So here is our second E with a third in the bass. That's all it is, a simple triangle. Now I'm going to collapse it 1 fret to make it diminished. So that is essentially just the 6th, the 4th, and 3rd strings. Or you can bar down with your index and get the 2nd string in the 2nd fret to a B7. So that's harmonically, the transition sounds like this. And I maybe put the low note in the bass to get that continuous. So putting that in context, let's just set up a simple blues. I just want to clear up a couple things. What I did at the end was a very simple little figure. Normally in a blues, after the B7, there'd be a quick A7. We're going to do it older fashion without the A7 and just substitute this. 2 fingers on 1st and 3rd string, 3rd and 4th fret. So that last little passage is going to go. That's a nice turnaround instead of the usual, which definitely has its place, but it's very nice to have it in the bass. And then you could even break it up. It's like and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There's a lot of that swinging and thing in this kind of blues music that pushes it forward. So let's take it again. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Here it comes. You might be curious about what I did on the A chord there. I had the chords on top and a bass run, so let's break that down real quickly. Here's my A chord position, A7, and I'm going to use this index finger wiggling around on all these free bass notes there. So the first one is A, open 5th string, and then 6th string 9th fret, 5th string 7th fret, 9th fret, 4th string 7th fret, and walk back down. So I'm going. So that is a very useful stroke, that just to play a little Blind Blake style. This is straight finger picking style. You could play that straight style, or you could play the whole way through as a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So just for you to mess around with that one at home, chords are very easy. It's C to E7 to a long A, then a long D, ending on G, then you're halfway there, then it comes back around again, second half, C, E7, a long A, and then a short D, short G7, and a C. So let's play that together, a little bit slower. 1, 2, let's play it straight, and then we'll play it with that swinging New Orleans sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just wiggling my index finger there. Now I'll try and play with the swung thumb. So that is a typical style of taking that New Orleans rhythm and putting it to finger picking. To putting it to strumming, let's see. add that to any of typical kind of a straight ahead rock beat, you can begin to put that. I began this tape with a little bit of guitar percussion. If you tap very lightly on the bridge of your guitar, not enough to hurt the thing, but just a little bit with your ring finger, you can get a nice little kick drum sound, particularly with a mic. And then there's my snare. For the moment, that's the way I want to do it, with right and left hand. So I started the thing with just a simple kick and snare pattern. I went doom, da, doom, doom, da, da, doom, da, doom, doom, da, da. Now you see I've got my other little finger tapping, keeping time for me secretly, because it's actually doom, da, doom, da. So I'm putting in those little tiny beats to help me stay in the groove. I'll make the silent beats a little louder. That's 2, 3, 4. Now my foot's doing the silent beats. So this may sound silly, but I think one of the best things you can do for your guitar playing is to drive your friends and neighbors crazy, tapping on tables and things like that. All right, let's concentrate on some other grooves here. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and tune to G minor tuning, which is like my open G tuning, except now the B string is at B flat. So we've got D, B flat, G, D, G, and D. So let's get another contemporary sort of beat going, and I really want to remind you to use your foot, because this time I'm going to show you how it's better to sometimes tap on the off beat. So the pattern I'm going to be using is this. See how I'm covering up the strings not to get confused with ringing notes. And see, there's an internal swing going on in the little hi-hat figure. It's not da 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 da, but it's swung. If you're already an experienced finger picker, you can put it in a little triplet, which is thumb, middle, index. Now the muscle trick with getting that snare to really penetrate and crack is when you do that, you're basically trying to hit the thing as hard as you can within the narrowest window of time and get off it right away. So I'm kind of relaxed when I'm doing the hi-hat. I'm going, you can probably see a little bit of muscle strain in my face when I hit that beat. I'm kind of going. Now I'm going to tie it up with my bass beat. Now let's make it swing with the foot. The tendency would be to tap your foot on the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, and play. Which is okay, except your foot starts sounding like a click track. It doesn't really sound like part of a band. So let's do this. 1 and 2 and 3. Now you're tapping on the offbeat. 1 and 2 and 3, and here we go. just kidding. Now, the fingerings, open tunings are really a composer's delight because, first of all, there's no rules. There's only one rule. If it sounds good, it is good. So basically, I'm just taking a simple fingering of and moving it around to only places where it sounds good. 10th fret at the 8th, at the 5th, 3rd, and I love this one. Here's another nice chord here. So what's nice about G minor tuning is there are some relative majors. So here's all G minor. This is the relative major, B flat. And you've got the major note built in on an open string. And the F7 is right here with some extra notes. And the 4 of that chord. So those 3 chords work in relation. So the idea of composing in open tunings is very simple. Get a groove you like, find some fingerings that sound pleasing to your ear, that's your A part. Find some other fingerings with a different harmony, that's your B part. So I'm just composing this on the fly. You can write to Homespun and get verification that I am actually making this up as I go along. So here we go. Here's the A part. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... What's that right there? That's that old 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 swung. Now let's use an up and down triplet. 2 3 4. Let's do that again. So slowed down, that's just. So all I did was, okay, so that's a nice kind of a hanging groove, especially that snare drum thing, just that. See my left hand when I hit that snare? I'm damping it over here to get that short snare sound. Now if I got in an emergency and something happened to my left hand in a bizarre gardening accident, I'd have to do the whole thing with my right hand, including the damping, so that's going to be... And when I damp, I flatten my hand out like it's being pushed by a spring. All right, I'm going to retune here and show you another right hand rhythm groove. So we've gone back into standard tuning. And this is what I would call a kind of a calypso type groove for any sort of, can be applied to any 4/4 kind of rock beat or folk rock beat or naturally calypso music. And that is this. Da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. And I guarantee you, if you're just tapping lightly on the fingerboard of your guitar, right where the neck block is, it won't harm your guitar at all. So what I'm doing here is down, up, slap, up, down, up, slap, up, down, up, slap, up. And at first, maybe the slap up will seem a little weird, but you have to bring your hand up anyway to go down, so you might as well get a free note out of it while you're waiting. So I just play like... Actually, this is the chords to Reverend Gary Davis's "Death Don't Have No Mercy in This Land," but I'm playing it as if it was a ska or a calypso. And if you want detailed information on calypso music, I have an entire other video on Homespun just dedicated to calypso. But for the moment, I just want to show you a couple of these strokes. So let's do "Death Don't Have No Mercy" in this Latin rhythm, okay? That's a bit of a ska rhythm. When I was a kid, I wasn't very good at baseball or football, so I spent a lot of time in my room working on guitar, but not really working, just playing. And for me, I think the strongest skill that you can develop as a guitar player is a healthy sense of curiosity. Just try everything and see if it sounds good. So I want to tell you that all of the music that I've played for you on this tape has been improvised today at this time on the spot. Obviously, I have a storehouse of chords and progressions and things like that, but basically I wanted to teach this tape this way to convey to you the spontaneity that you can get by using these rhythms. So don't forget to tap your hands and feet. Always syncopate when you walk. Scat sing to yourself. Another perfect opportunity to practice your rhythm is when you're sitting in the car. You can practice tapping one hand to your blinker and trying to tap your other hand to somebody else's blinker. That's always a tough one. Or if you don't have a clutch, you can tap your left foot and just use your hand and tap on the steering wheel. This is really, to me, what has given me the rhythmic fluidity and control that I have, is just spending a lot of time in that world of rhythm. And so I heartily recommend that you never practice this stuff, but you play it constantly. And that's really the secret of rhythm. So here in G tuning, I'm going to use a simple Delta blues rhythm just to kind of get the thing going and just show you how you can use rhythm and rhythmic ideas alone to change your arrangement. Whatever some old blues guy recorded in 1937, I guarantee you that the next night he went out and played it completely differently from how he recorded it. So for me, all traditional music is a living, breathing thing, and you should feel comfortable about stealing from other music and applying it to your music, and you should feel comfortable taking old music and changing it and playing it your way. Again, the only rule is either it sounds good or it doesn't, and only you can make that call. So I'll start with a little basic blues, and then I'll just use rhythm and improvise this thing and just fool around. And hope that you'll have a look at some of the things I'm doing and apply them to what you're doing. So just try out some of the things you saw me do there. Sometimes it's really exciting for the audience and your listeners if the groove is going along and you drop the whole bottom out of the groove, as long as it's ticking by in your head. So sometimes I'll be playing along. As long as you're clicking away, you can even stop tapping your foot so the audience really gets a little bit almost nervous. I mean, one of the greatest attention-getting devices that you can do in a performance is trade on that fact of people going, hey, is something wrong? And for that split second, you've got their attention. Then it's up to you to, fill that attention with some good music. But by suddenly dropping the bottom out, it's a very good attention-grabbing trick. And so I like to do that, and I also like the contrast between the top end and the low end. So sometimes I'll do kind of a... So I'd like to thank you all once again for listening in, and I hope that you can apply all these rhythmic tricks, starting from hand clapping and foot tapping, to all of your music. And when you're doing a gig, if the sound is bad, tapping your foot actually helps communicate the groove to the audience. Musicians have to struggle against a lot of variables on the job, and any of these tricks things in my toolbox you're certainly welcome to use, and I look forward to someday hearing what you do with them. Thanks a lot.